He's Metz. He's Tass. It's the Metzger Tassoul Show.
Hello, Mr. Tassoul.
Hello, Mr. Metzger.
How are you?
Good. Just give me just 1 second. I just need to.
Sure. Yeah, we have all day. No problem. Are you in the restroom today, Tass?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Just give me just a minute, if you would.
No problem. Not a problem. We're
So
all
I put the camera. I put the camera a little higher. What's with the pink cup, dude?
You're the second person. Jean LaBelle wore pink. Now that's the comments. You're no Jean LaBelle.
Yeah, right. Well, it used to be real men wear pink. I wore pink in
I wanted cold water. I just grabbed whatever Yeti I can grab out of the house.
Pink. I wore pink polo and pink
also have a
socks.
straw with like little
licorice
stars on it or something.
Oh, look like licorice. You bite the end of each.
No, that's Silverman. Silverman does that. I don't do that.
Does he?
Anyway, how's things? Well, go ahead. Finish. Hey, you finish what you need to do.
Yeah, everybody just hold on. Okay, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready, but I don't want to. I don't want to rush you.
Good. No, that's all right.
All right.
Hey, when you're busy, right? You just got to take care of the clients.
I got it. I understand, my friend.
I don't do that, then there's repercussions,
Hey, this is not the first show, is it? No, we did one. We did
one. I think we did one where we actually sat next to each other after the cruise in early January. So this will be the second show of the year.
Well, title of the show is what is the best trial offer to get new students?
How about what's the best trial offer to get new people watching the Metzger Tassoul show?
Yeah, we haven't figured that out yet, have we? Yeah, no. Oh. Well,
I apologize for my background. It's the last weekend of deer hunting. So I'm at deer camp, but I have Wi-Fi, which is good news.
Very good.
So yes, I'm not in the bathroom. I'm just pinned up against the closet door.
Very nice. So, I think it's an interesting topic because, as you know, Tass, the industry, for the majority of the industry, they want to know, how do I get more students? Right? I mean, that's just the number one request. How do I get more students? So we'll talk about what is the best trial offer to get new students. The title of the show is what is the best way to get new students? It's what is the best trial offer to get new students? But one of the things that I think, and I'm being serious for just a second, one of the things that I think that we do pretty well, we being Maya, is we'll explain why this is our answer, as opposed to, well, this is the offer we use and this is what drives a lot of people in and this, that, and the other. So what is the best trial offer to get new students? Stay tuned. We'll talk about it in about 10 minutes.
Mr. Costa, how are
you? But
hey, just curious, do you have, and I know it's not the end of the month yet, so you might have to have your report from all schools, but are you seeing, leads and or enrollments up, down, or not sure yet just because you haven't got the report for the month?
Yeah, I really do not know right now. I don't know. I will get that. I was just going over. Didn't I bring that in here? I didn't bring it in here. I was just going over all the 2023 stats, and I was looking at the 23 stats by quarter, seeing how was the trend over the year, not just with enrollments, but with attrition rates, revenue. I think I feel more optimistic about this year than last, even though, if you've been listening, I thought last year would be a lot more challenging than the prior year. So I'm not saying this year is going to be easy by any means, because it's an election year and, things are still up in the air, I think, a little bit for people. So, but if you understand that going in and you understand the areas of focus where you need to be and what you need to do, I think you're going to be fine. And by the way, Taff, I love how you're breaking this down for clients. I love how you're breaking down how to hit certain goals by understanding your numbers and seeing where the specific holes are,
right?
How we can fill just those holes and how that translates to dollars, you know, in the school growth. So I love that. And that's not this seminar, but.
Well, you know, it's interesting too. You know, I spoke to, you know, I think pretty much every client this month, if not there the next day or two here, but there's been a lot of talk. I say a lot, there's more than usual of people struggling with enrollments, but it's about asking the right questions as well. And we can talk a little bit about that when we talk about the trial stuff. But, you know, for us, our leads have not slowed down. We did, and by the way, I did not, and I should have, I did not up our ad spend this month, which we typically like to do that, right? 3 times a year, coming out of the holidays, coming to summer, coming out of summer, because we know those are times that we lose the most amount of students. But again, what's the reason why we lose the most amount of students? It's because routines change. Well, when routines change, we also have an opportunity to pick up a lot more students, right? And so we have our normal budget right now. I'll bump it for February here. But we've not seen a real slowdown in leads by us, which has been good. I will tell you that we're 50% over our revenue for this January compared to last January, which is fantastic. And then I think, you know, the other thing is, you know, you said, you know, something that, you know, we the reasons why we do certain things, but also I think, you know, we're very good at getting people in boots to the ground marketing, right? Because when you say, what's the best trial special? My assumption is most people are doing that trial online, if you will, right? It's online paid ads. And so this is where if you've had all your eggs in one basket and you've always been doing online marketing because it's been easy, you just do the ad spend, you don't have to do all the extra work. And now if you're seeing a decline or decrease in your web leads, as an example, well, what are you doing to offset that other than just potentially spending more money? But there's a lot of reasons why you may not have not necessarily leads, but more enrollments, right? And we can dive into some of those things. So this is something I've been talking a lot with clients about. So I'm excited about the topic today, and really just trying to uncover, you know, the whys behind some of these things, and maybe some other things to look at that if you haven't looked at, you need to look at. But you know, it's one of these questions I think we get asked all the time is, well, what's the best, you know, trial special? And we'll go into some different options, right? But at the end of the day, I mean, the answer really to that is that it's whatever one's working best for you, right? Like,
that's right. But you know what? That's what I was going to say, right? Here's let's go over. First of all, for those of you watching, can you just put in an example of what trial offers you guys are using? Just type it in the chat box so it posts up. What are the trial offers that you consistently tend to use? And I'd love to see if there's any consistency here with the group. Now,
you know, it's kind of like,
go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, it's kind of like asking, like, well, what's the best technique to use to score a point when you spar? I mean, I don't know. I mean, what works for you? Like, for some people, it might be a blitz back fist. For other people, it could be a lead leg round kick. For other people, it could be a spin. Like, right? I'm using like karate taekwondo verbiage, right? But maybe for you, it's MMA and your go-to. And I remember hearing this when I was doing jiu-jitsu, right? Like, you don't have to know 100 different techniques in jiu-jitsu. Like, you just have to get good at a few things. And I'm not a jiu-jitsu expert, just full disclosure, but it's better to really go deep on a few things and be able to execute that well than trying to learn 72 different techniques and you kind of have an idea of each of them, but you really don't know how to pull them off, right? So that's something to consider as well. Like, what is it that works best specifically for you? And, you know, I like talking numbers, but if you're not tracking your numbers, you don't know what it is that's working best for you, right? And we've had this conversation about how, so yes, it's about trial specials, but if we're talking about getting enrollments, I mean, have you looked to see what is the method or methods that are getting you 80% of your enrollments? And it might be only 20% of the things that you're doing. We've talked before about then spend 80% of your time on that 20% of things until you can get some of those other things to maybe perform better for you. And I always think birthday parties when I say this, right? Like for us, birthday parties are just something that we don't do well with as far as getting new students. That's us, right? And there's reasons why, and we can, you know, talk about those reasons, and we know what they are. But even when we try and put more effort into it, we still don't seem to get a big pull from people doing birthdays. We're better off doing some other things. So why am I going to put my focus and energy into birthday parties? Now, you may have a martial arts school out there that crushes, that Per Perez comes to mind when I say this, right? Like they crush birthday parties and they sign up. That's how he built his school, was with free birthday parties, right? So it's all in what's working best for you. And that's why I, you know, pre-framed by saying, well, whatever option or whatever trial special works best for you is the best trial option.
It is. So in order to know that, besides keeping your stats, here's the thing with the trial offer, everybody. Here it is. We consistently like 4 weeks for $49. And I see a lot of people chimed in on 4 weeks for $49, but why, right? It doesn't need to be 4 weeks for $49. Let me explain why I wasn't using 4 weeks for $49 when I was in the schools, right? And why I'm using 4 weeks for $49 now that we have 9 locations, you know, running with staff, right? Here's the thing. If you do a free trial class, I see that, you know, somebody does a free trial class. Some people do a 2-week deal. Some people do a 1-week deal. Here's the thing. You got to track on what percent of the people do you get to enroll the first day they come into your school. Some of you may be very, very good at that. However, if you let somebody do a 1-week trial, and a lot of you probably are just twice a week or maybe 3 times, like you can come 2 or 3 times. Here's the dangers that you got to first understand. You don't ever want anybody to end a trial before you talk to them about enrolling in your program and building the value. Now that's a whole system in itself. I don't mean this. I don't mean, well, we have a 1-week trial, and if you let us know before the end of the week if you want to enroll, you're going to save $100. So let us know if this is something you want to do. That's not a good way, because you're putting it on them now. You're putting it on the customer to be proactive to come see you, right? Now, for those of you who say, well, that works really well for us. Well, let's go over the stats and see how well it really works, right? With that going. And it's not about how well it's working. It's how well can it work if we change something, right? And that's sometimes what we miss. And this is how we get brainwashed in the industry. Someone will come along and tell you how to do something, and you think it's the best thing in the world because it's better than what you were doing. But then somebody else may look at it and say, man, you're leaving, you know, 60 students a year on the table here, or you're leaving 100,000 a year on the table here, right? But you don't know that, because all you're doing is comparing it to what you've been doing before. So number one, don't ever have a trial where the trial ends and you don't catch them, right? Number two, if you're doing 2 classes or 3 classes a week, and if you're trying to catch somebody on the last day of their trial, so let's say you do catch them, but you catch them on the last day of the trial, or it's a 1-week trial. A 1-day trial, you're catching them on the last day and the first day. You got to be really good. But if you're catching someone on the last day, do you know what else we hear in the industry? It's like, well, what do you do when somebody says, I need to talk to my spouse? Well, let me talk to my child about it, or let me think about it. Let me look at my schedule. Let me do that. At the end of the day, it's yes, they're signing up, or no, they're not. Right at this moment, yes, I am, or no, I'm not. Now, they may come in tomorrow and sign up, but right now, they're either signing up or they're not signing up, right? Well, as soon as they walk out your door and they've completed their trial program, they have no reason to come back into your school unless it's to sign up. So now I can make obstacles and get distractions in life by saying, I really want to sign up. You know, I'll go tomorrow and I'll sign up. And then something happens at work, or I didn't get lunch that day. I'm just tired. You know what? Because we'll go Friday. We'll sign up Friday. And then something comes up, and before you know it, I'm just putting more odds against me as the school owner or manager or program director of getting enrollments. Now, why do I like a 4-week trial? I like a 4-week trial because I don't want to have a bunch of salesmen that can get you to sign up on the first day. If you could do that, that's great. But I'm not going to sit here and try to train people to be hardcore salesmen, because that's not what I want us to be. I don't want us to try to have to convince you to sign up for martial arts. So when somebody does a 4-week trial and they pay something, if they don't pay, this is important. If they don't pay, and if it's free, if it's a free 4-week trial, I don't feel like I'm losing anything if I do a week and then I get distracted and I just don't come back. But if I pay for 4 weeks, whether it's $49, $29, $99, if I pay for it, most people want to get what they paid for. And if it's 4 weeks, I at least want to get my 4 weeks. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up what we call a progress check appointment after their 3rd class, which will happen in the 2nd week of the 4-week trial. It's at that progress check appointment. Now, I don't try to catch them before the first day they come in and they pay, or if they paid online and they come into the office for the first day they come into school to take their class, or I'm giving them their uniform or their schedule or whatever it is you give them, I'm also setting an appointment and I'm giving them the appointment. So I make sure I have nothing going on at that time after their 3rd class in the 2nd week. And I'm going to make sure they have an appointment on the books because I want to get feedback. How are you liking the program? Is it what you thought? Are you seeing the values and benefits? I know you wanted to get more fit, or you wanted more focus for your child. Are you seeing how this can help? I want to get feedback. If all is positive, I'm then going to say, well, look, if this is something you are enjoying and you want to enroll now, I'll apply what you paid for this 4-week trial, for example. I'll even double it. So you paid $49, I'll double it to $100. I'll give you $100 off the program if this is something you want to do. We'll get you enrolled now. I'll still give you your remaining 2 weeks, and I won't have the first payment start for after 2 weeks from now. Would you like to take advantage of that savings and enroll now? Now, again, they're either going to sign up or they're not going to sign up. Let me talk to my husband. Let me continue. Let me make sure. Let me do this. Do. If they don't sign up, we make a note of it. I make sure the instructors know, or if I'm the instructor, I make sure that they didn't sign up, but I still know they paid for 2 more weeks. I'm not going to be chasing them on the phone trying to convince them. Did you think about it? Hey, did you get a chance to talk to your spouse? You get to enroll now? I'm going to make sure I meet with them again in a week, which is now in the 3rd week of their 4-week trial, and see how things are going and say, look, if you still want to take advantage of that offer, we could still give you that offer. But now first payment will start after a week, not 2 weeks, right? So my point is, have a trial offer to where you meet with them when there's still time left on a trial, just so you can elevate your chances on getting the enrollment. Because if they say no, and then I'm going to throw it to you, Tass, if they say no, I got to check my schedule. I got to talk to my spouse. I want to talk to my son or daughter. I want to do this. I want to do that. At the end of the day, they didn't see enough value to be like, I know I got to be here, or I know my child's got to be here. Yes, I'd like to take advantage. We got to make sure he trains here, or I train here. So then your job is to elevate that value even more and learn from your customers on how we can constantly become better at what we do. Obviously, they didn't see the value, but you still have time. Go ahead, Tess.
You're done?
Well, there's one more thing. No, yes, I'm done.
Look, I want to talk 2 things. Well, there's a few. Like, there's a lot going through my head right now. So number one, you said it, but if they don't enroll, here's a pro tip. If they do not enroll at that progress check, right, you not only need to make a note of it, but you need to reschedule to the schedule. That's a writer downer. Like, you need to always reschedule back to the schedule. And that would sound like this. Mrs. Smith, listen, I completely understand you need to talk to your husband. I completely understand you need to look at your schedule. You agree with them, right? This is the thing that I don't know if you guys know this or not, but in sales, right? Or if you ever watched the movie The Negotiator, you never disagree, right? You always agree and then realign, right? So you agree with them and say, listen, I'm glad that you're taking the time to really make sure this is the right decision for you. I'll tell you what, today's Thursday. You guys are going to be back in class on Tuesday, right? Perfect. Why don't you guys take the weekend? You guys give it some thought, chat with your spouse or significant other. And then when you guys come in for Tuesday, I'm going to put you on the calendar for Tuesday. I can certainly answer any additional questions that you have. Or in our case, we'll pick whatever option works best for you at that time. And I immediately put them back on the schedule so we don't lose people that fall through the cracks. And there's a lot of schools that lose people that fall through the cracks. So that's very important. Number two, let's go back to the reason, like, why even do a trial in the first place? Like, why? Why don't you? I mean, if you've heard Metzger and I talk over the last 8 years, you've heard us say, I remember it, and you may not remember this, but I remember this in the office. This was in the conference room at Avalon. But you drew a stick figure, and you said the goal is to get them from prospect to enrollment, another stick figure, with as least amount of steps as possible. That 100% is your goal and your mission to save you, your team, and everybody time. But now let's talk about the reality. Because the reality is if you're, well, let me say this. If you're a school that gets 30 or 40 people coming in a month, 50 people, there's a lot of schools that we have that enroll 40, 50 people a month. That's not the norm, but there's a lot of schools that do that. Well, now if I do a trial and a progress check and potentially a follow-up, well, now that's 3 steps, right? 3 steps for 50 people that walk in my door. That's 150 points of contact I have to make over the month. You run out of time. It's not possible to do that. It's very hard to do that, right? However, I will say this. I've talked and spoke with a lot of clients that are struggling to get people to enroll on their first visit. And here's the reason why. The reason why is the majority of people, and don't take offense to this, but the majority of people have a hard time building rapport in 20 to 30 minutes to ask someone to commit for a 12-month program, which is what we do. If you're doing month to month, it's easier, right? But to commit to a 12-month program and invest $2,000 for themselves or for their child. That's just the reality. You have to have a special skill set to be able to do that, right? And not saying that people can't do it, but when we take a step back and we look at it and we go, why am I trying so hard to enroll these people in the first class? And you're making your job very difficult. I remember in the health club industry, this is actually kind of funny. I went through the sales training, and it was so we had, TIs and self-inquiries and walk-ins and the whole up system. And after my sales training happened for a week or 2 weeks, whatever it was, I was on the up system, and I was up next. And somebody came in and they paged the back office and says, hey, we have a guest here. I'm like, all right, Tass, you're up. And I'm like, I literally remember my palms sweating. I'm like, okay, you take this one. I promise I'll take the next one. Like, I was so afraid of going up there and having this conversation, especially after all the sales training that I went through and what the expectations were. So they're like, nope, you're on. It's your turn. So I walk up, I introduce myself to the gal. I take her through, give her the tour of the club. First, I qualify her in the office. Then I take her on a tour of the club. Then we come back. And by the way, these sales tactics were very interesting. It was like, bring them in the office, qualify them first. Why are they there? What do they want to accomplish? So on and so forth. When you take them on the tour, make sure they leave their jacket, leave their purse. Women have separation anxiety from their purse. If you can get them to leave their purse, you're going to be one step closer to your sale. All this stuff, right? So I take her on the tour. I get back in the office. Now, you got to remember, guys, this is, 25 years ago. I did not want to miss my first sale. I wanted to be a hero. And this was a $35 a month health club membership back in the day. And I was in the office with that lady for 90 minutes. I'm overcoming objections and doing everything. She finally just signed the paperwork and she signed up, right? So I didn't want to miss it. The point is this. It took a lot of time to do that, right? And I was new at doing it. The other side, I'll tell you the funny side of it, is a week later, we got the mail, and it was a 3-day cancel from the lady. And the manager at the time, he goes, it's okay, don't worry, here's what we do with those. And he crumpled it in a ball and threw it in the garbage can. I'm like, well, that's not ethical. But anyway, that was my first sales experience in the health club industry. But the reality is this: we have a lot of clients that struggle trying to get enrollments on the first visit, right? Whether that's their program director or themselves, it does require a certain skill set and potentially requires more time because you're trying to overcome all these objections. So what I've done in a lot of cases is I've said, listen, let's just put the trial in play. Well, why do we do that? Because we want to build the know, like, and trust factor. So when somebody comes in, and I'll give you our numbers. When I went into my martial arts school in October, after my chief instructor was gone and program director were gone, I took over. And I've been around this industry for 30 years, right? And I can sit down and go through the 4-step enrollment process, overcome the objections. And I'm going to be honest, I just didn't want to work that hard. So I kept we do a 2-week trial, right? And because we're not getting a whole slew of leads, we get 25 leads that come in a month, right? We might get 15, 20 appointments, whatever it might be. So we can handle that right now. So I stuck with a 2-week trial. I will tell you that 45 people that came in from October 15th through December, 45 people that came in for an evaluation lesson, signed up for the 2-week trial and paid the $25. Every one of them. There's not one person that did not do that, right? Then they went on the floor. They did class 1, 2, 3. Progress checked them on the 3rd lesson. We enrolled 42 of the 45 into a 12-month program. I don't say that to boast because it's not me. It wasn't me that did such a great job. That was my team, and that was the floor that was so strong that when the parents came back in the office, they're like, we absolutely need to do this. And they absolutely love it. And the number of, well, it doesn't matter, but I'm saying this for a point, right? The number of paid in fulls we got was 60, 70% of the people paid in full. Well, how does that happen with a $1,670 paid in full program? So we had talked at the end of the year, and people were like, well, people are tightening up and they're not spending money. That wasn't the case for us. But it's because we have such a strong floor that we're able to get those enrollments. And because they came to the first class, because our team acknowledged them, they introduced them to the class, they had them break their board, they made a big deal about it. They did all these things to make them feel like it was their birthday every time they came to class. They wanted to and signed up and wanted to enroll their student in the program. So if you're struggling with enrollments, I highly recommend that you move to a trial because it's going to give you the opportunity for the floor to sell them, air quotes, right? Because they see the benefits of coming, and the job in the office is way easier because all you're doing is asking them which option they want to do, and you put them onto a program.
Right.
It really is. When you have a great team, it's really that easy. Now, let me give you the inverse of that. You work really hard. You get them enrolled day one. Program director enrolls them day one. And then they go on the floor. If your floor isn't tight and strong, you're going to see your attrition rate start to go up because now they were sold something that was in the office that they believed that they were going to get, and they're not seeing that same promise happen on the floor. So I've dissected this with clients as well. Like, you know, I was talking to a client, they're like, our closing rate's horrible and our floor is awful. And after I spoke with them and figured out, well, walk me through your process, your enrollment process. Well, they're going for the enrollment on day one, and the program director is doing the intro lesson in the office and going for the enrollment. I said, well, how do you know you have a floor problem? Because that kid's never even been on the floor. They've been in the office. That's a program director and an introductory evaluation lesson problem. So now we've switched over to doing a 4-week, because these guys get a lot of leads and a lot of people coming in. We switched over to doing the 4-week process, right? And the 4-week trial. Now, I did this with another client and literally talked to him 2 days ago. And he's like, that's it. I'm doing same day. I'm going to enroll in the same day. I said, well, okay, hold on. Why are we doing that? Because they were doing one-on-ones. Then they shifted to a 4-week trial. And I'm telling you this just so you know what to expect and so that you know this is normal. He said, we need revenue this month and we can't keep putting people on these trials. I said, well, we just started doing these 4-week trials this month. He's like, yes, sir. I said, well, let me ask you this. How many people do you have on trial? Well, in his case, he had 25 people on trial, which is way more than he's ever had on trial. I said, you just need to trust the process because a lot of these trials just started a week ago and they're going to flow into the end of this month or the first part of February when he progress checks. But I said, if you keep that pipeline filled, you're only going to have a 2 to 4 week lag, and then you're going to see how things go. So he wanted to throw away everything because they weren't getting enrollments on the spot, but didn't consider the fact that they went from doing 101s to 4-week trials. And there is going to be a little bit of a gap and a delay to get the enrollments. But once that happens, you keep feeding the system, you're going to be just fine, right? So that's the reason why I suggest most martial arts schools, contrary, we still believe in go from prospect to enrollment as soon as possible. But if the numbers aren't showing that we're doing a good job, you got to pivot, you got to make a decision, and you need to change something. And in this case, you let the floor do the selling. And if that's not working, well, then we've got a floor problem, right? That's the next thing that we look at. So anyway, I just want to back up and go through like, well, why do we do trials in the first place as opposed to, just enroll them on the spot? I think all of us know that, but are we really dissecting and looking at the numbers to make sure that what we're doing is making sense?
Are you done?
I'm done for now.
We're going to try to outdo each other. I'm going to go longer. Now, let me answer a couple of these questions. Are you doing the 4 weeks for 49 in lieu of the 2-lesson intro? Yes, we are. We're doing the 4 weeks for 49. However, let me go back to what we said at the very beginning. If you have something that's working for you, don't change it. Don't change it no matter what somebody says to do and whatever reasons we have. If you have something that is working and you're keeping your stats and you see it, but listen, and this is important, you may be enrolling a lot of students. Your attrition may be a little out of whack. And if you see, and you hear this in the industry, where do we lose the most students? A lot of people lose the majority of students in the beginner levels. Well, that could be because of buyer's remorse. It could be because you were so good at selling it to them and catching them on an emotion. They signed up with you. Once they get in, it's not what they thought they were getting or buying or it's not what they thought it was going to be. So you don't want that to happen too. That's why I want to go back on what Tass said. He has a system like we do, the 4 weeks, right, where the floor sells itself. They test drive it, right? They love what they're doing. The floor is for the sale. The office is for the close. The office is not to try to convince and sell somebody. The floor is. The floor is where you should be so confident in your floor that people are walking in saying, now that I've done this, I definitely want to enroll. So yes, we're doing the 4 weeks for 49.
I think we got away from just taking crackers for the trials now. I think we take cookies, donuts, biscuits.
Right, it's donuts now. No. And he said credit cards. We do not accept cash for monthly tuition. We do not. It's EFT, credit cards, 99.999%. We don't take cash. There was a time where they can mail in a coupon. I don't even think we do that. It's credit cards, debit card, or EFT.
Listen, let me just comment on that, Metz, just for a second. There's two reasons why, right? And I don't want to be accusatory here, but two reasons. Number one, the world's gone to digital, right? And so the more times you take cash in, the more problems it can pose. If somebody wants to do cash for their trial, we'll certainly do that, right? But we don't do cash for ongoing programs or tuition payments. And here's an easy explanation. I just had somebody the other day that she wanted to come in and she wanted to pay in cash, right? And we get this out of every 50 enrollments, we get someone that just wants to come in and pay cash. Well, so listen, ma'am, hey, no worries. I totally understand. I get that. We do just need to get a card on file instead of a billing date. If you do want to come in and pay cash prior to that each month, you certainly can do that. And then that payment won't go through. But look, our job, our focus is to make sure that we teach the best classes possible. And if everybody did this, we'd have to worry about collecting the tuition. That's not where we want our focus, which is why we have it done automatically. So which card would you like to put on file? And she's like, oh, no problem. She put her card on file if she wants. But here's what I gave her an option. If her payment's on the 20th and she wants to come in the 17th, 18th, 19th, she can do that. And she can just pay us cash for that month. And now that counts for her tuition payment. So I don't want you to overthink it, but I also want you to understand why we don't do it, right? And I just don't like having our team necessarily, not because I don't trust my team, right? But as you get bigger as an organization as well, I just don't like there being a lot of cash going through the system. And we see that everywhere. I mean, Lambeau Field, I think 2 or 3 years ago here, right? They actually went I don't know if we were late to the game on par with everybody else, but they're completely cashless. They do not take cash at all in the stadium, and everything is I'm assuming is so much easier for them to track as well.
And by the way, Mr. Nixon, should you include a uniform? We do. We include a uniform with the 4 weeks for $49. So
why, Mets? Why do you guys do that?
We do that because when the student gets out there, I don't want to make anyone feel like an outsider or more uncomfortable or like, man, I'm different and I'm a little bit more like everyone's in uniform here and I'm in a t-shirt and shorts or whatever I'm in and in a class and I just don't feel like part of it. I want them integrated. I want them feeling like part of our team, part of our family. So we do include the uniform with
and the more you make them feel comfortable and keep pulling them towards like being a part of it and being involved, the easier it's going to be for them to enroll. So if you're a jiu-jitsu school, that's a little bit different, right? That may be a t-shirt or a basic starter uniform if you need to, and that whole deal, because I know those can be expensive. Or you just may need to price your trial differently, knowing that you're going to give away a jiu-jitsu uniform. But I see Mr. Blackman on your BOGO specials, right? And for those of you that are looking at that, that's buy one, get one free. Look, if you're struggling for students or leads, this is a really great opportunity for you to get 2 people to come in for everybody, because now 4 weeks in the uniform is $49. By the way, it's buy one, get one, and they show up and they're by themselves, which I wouldn't let that happen. I mean, it can happen, but I would be confirming that person. Hey, Ms. Smith, we're so excited to see you guys. You know, this is for Johnny. Great. He's 8. By the way, it is a buy one, get one special that we're doing. Who else do you know that might benefit from a program or that Johnny might like to do class with? Because it does include a second person. So that's a great way to get more people. And we always talk about get bodies on the floor. And that's a really great special to be able to do that.
Yeah. And by the way, very good. And then statistically, how many single trials do you have coming in that can turn into 2? Because it's a BOGO. When you say on the phone, hey, I see you purchased one of our trials. We are doing BOGO right now. Do you have a friend or a neighbor or a family member that would like to do the offer with you? There's going to be a percentage of people that will do it, right? So I love that. And then this is just a comment, buyer's remorse. And then the comment must have been funny about the buyer's remorse. I don't know if that's a question or if it's just some people have buyer's remorse. But let me explain that, because I don't know.
It might have been the lady that I signed up at the health club that sent the 3-day cancel in.
It could be, but here's the deal: if somebody comes in and they have in their own mind what they think martial arts is, right? Especially with kids. If a movie comes out, kids may think, I want to do karate or martial arts or Krav or whatever it is, right? And they have this own perception of what it is, and the person in the office. Most of you are going to try to sell it to them. Absolutely, this is going to help with this, and you're going to love it. Yes, our classes are fun. Yes. Then they get in the classes and they realize your definition of fun is not their definition of fun, and now they feel duped. They regret signing up. They regret signing up because they didn't get enough exposure to what it is that you do to really make the decision based on that. They made the decision based on the discussion you were having in the office. And you were probably good at selling them, right? And so they can have buyer's remorse. And yes, the second free gi, if it's a BOGO, it's a BOGO. It's buy one, get one free. So if it's 4 weeks for $49, we'll have 2 people get the 4 weeks for $49, and that'll be 2 uniforms if it includes a uniform. So yes, and Mr. Blackman is saying he charges for the second uniform. That's fine too if that works. I wouldn't. If it's BOGO, it's BOGO. What's buy one, get one free? If my offer is 4 weeks for $49 includes a uniform, and I'm just saying it's BOGO, well, that means it's BOGO. It's buy one and you get one offer free, right? But you just want to be clear on that. If
like those cruises we do. But here's the other piece about that, right? Let me just. And I'm going to make an assumption, and I might be wrong, but man, now I'm giving away 2 uniforms for $49. Like I pay $25 a piece or $30. I'm actually going to lose money on that deal, right? you got to change your thinking. And here's the thing I would tell you, because a lot of us do online social media marketing. And when you figure in the cost that you're paying the agency, the ad spend, how much are you paying for a lead, right? So if you, and this is assuming that they don't come in online, but if you're paying, in some cases I know personally for me in the past, I was paying upwards of $90 to $100 a lead. Today it's closer to 40 to 50 bucks a lead. But if you're paying that much for a lead, if I said, I'm gonna bring you 20 people, you got to put them in class and you got to give everybody a free uniform, and I'm not paying you $1. I'm not paying you anything. Would you do it? I think everybody's answer on here.
And by the way, let's entice it. I got 20 people here that want to do martial arts because I'm closing my club down. I got 20 students that they want to continue, but you got to give everyone a free uniform, and I'll let them try your place out. You got to give them 2 weeks free or a month free or whatever it is. Do you want them? Because if not, I'm going right down the street to this school that's a mile down the road, and I'm going to see if they want them. Do you want them, or should I ask them? You're going to take them, guys. There it is. I mean, you know the answer. But when we present it differently, people will start harping over the cost of a uniform, and that's called, stepping over dollars to pick up pennies.
And then let me just throw this out there, because I will tell you, like, we're really good on the numbers and the stats on the business side. I will tell you where we struggle. We struggle on the traffic stats. Like, for us, that's just been a challenge. It's been a problem. And you can ask me student value, attrition rate. You can ask me what percentage of your people pay in full for basics or for black. I can give you all the answers and all the numbers, right? But if you ask me traffic stats, we struggle. And I think most people do, because it can get to be a lot. Being in the program director role for 2 months, right? Our office is busy, man. Like, it's nonstop. So to remember, we have a telephone inquiry? Do we have a walk-in? You really have to sit and think, how did all this work? And you can have a little clipboard and just tally mark people as they come in. But here's what I would tell you. The question would be, do you have an enrollment problem? And we don't know the answer to that, right? You have to take into consideration all the things. Do you have a lead problem? Because I've heard this before. Well, our online marketing is just not working. Well, when you say your online marketing isn't working, well, what's not working? Are you getting less leads, right? So that's number one. Are you getting more leads, the same leads, or less leads? Number two, how many of those people are you booking for an appointment? Number three, how many of them are showing? And number four is how many are enrolling? Because you've got to find out where the gap and where the hole is. If you're getting 50 leads in a month and you got 10 booked appointments and 8 show and 7 enroll, you don't have an enrollment problem. You don't have an enrollment problem. You have a problem getting people booked for appointments. That's what the focus needs to be. If you've got 50 leads and 40 book appointments and only 15 show, you've got a confirmation problem, right? You're not building enough value to get them to come. And I think we all know this. This is why I said I love analyzing numbers and stats. I don't necessarily like tracking them, but I love analyzing them because it will pinpoint where those problems and where those challenges are. And as I speak with clients, this is what I'm talking about, is really understanding the numbers, which sometimes we don't want to track because it's a hassle. But if you're really serious about taking your school to the next level, you've got to know where your challenges are, because you might be focused just on trying to increase your closing rate, but you don't need to. You just need to get more appointments booked, and everything else will take care of itself because your closing rate's fantastic, as an example, right? And this is why every school has its own unique challenges. They're all the same challenges, but I may need more students. That may be legit for me. But if I'm working with a client who gets, and this is true, gets 50 enrollments a month, 50, but they have an attrition rate of 9%, we're not going to talk about recruitment strategy at all. I don't need to discuss that. I just got to get them from 9% to 6%, and I'm going to make an extra $300,000 a year in their school. Easy, right? And this is why, if you don't know what to look at, or you've got all have the gauges, like a dashboard in the car. You all have the gauges, but how many of you are like, the service engine light's been on for a while? Whatever, I don't care. if you don't get it checked out, there's other problems that start happening, right? And this is what can happen in the martial arts business. We don't go from being open one day and close the next. We die a slow, painful death. And I've seen this happen with clients where their attrition rate, this particular client, 2.8% attrition rate, high number of students. They enrolled 87 students last year, right? They're losing 13 a month, but they're only signing up 7 point whatever students per month. That is a trend that needs to be spotted, because over time, they're going to continue to bleed out students. Well, let me ask you a question. Are you going to get a 2.8% attrition down to 1.8? That's a hell of a lot harder than it is to go out and enroll 5 or 6 more students. So now you got to develop a marketing plan. Are you doing 2-week courses? All the things, right? But this is where I always look at the numbers, because the numbers tell the story and it tells us exactly what we need to focus on. So if you don't do anything for yourself this year, right, just start tracking numbers. And Metzger had a conversation with me the other day. He's like, dude, you're just good. It's because I'm back in and really looking at the business every single day. Not that I'm working in the business all day, every day, but I've got my eye on the ball. And we always say, what you focus on grows, right? And it's true for all of us. So focus on the things that matter. It's not always about enrollments. And if you don't know where you need to spend your focus, that's where you just need to get a second set of eyes on it and have somebody else take a look at it for you, right?
Yeah. So, look, it's 2024. How many of you watching this, right? And you don't need to put it in the chat if you don't want, but how many of you, started a year off with X number of students, only to go through another year of a whole year, and a year later, you're still at the same number of students, and you can't understand why you're at the same number of students? Well, we do understand why, but it's not only because I need to get more students, and that's where we always focus. I need to get more students, but then I need to retain my students better and maybe get more students. But then you got to figure out, well, why am I not getting more students? Just like he said, you got to peel the onion layers back. It may not be a marketing issue, may not be a lead issue, may not be a trial offer issue. It may be a conversion issue, right? So you really, these are the things that we dive into. We do not give referral rewards for trial memberships. We give referral rewards once somebody becomes a student. And by the way, guys, look, at the end of the day, they posted this up here. We have an event in March. I don't even know.
7th and 8th.
What is it?
7th and 8th.
7th and 8th, March 7th and 8th in Orlando. And by the way, if you are a non-elite member, if you're not a My Elite member and you've not been to a My Elite event like All Systems Go, it's $299 to attend. But Century Martial Arts will reimburse your $299 in the form of a Century credit. So if you come to the event, you pay for the event, you come to the event, you will get a credit on your Century account. Century will be there. They will credit you on the account, and you're basically getting to come to the event at no cost.
So, well, it's going to cost me like $5,000 to get there, though. I mean, by the time I have.
That's right. So let's break that down. It'll be $20,000 between rental cars and airfare and hotels. However, you got to think.
If you know, you know.
Right. That's just our humor, everybody. But look, at the end of the day, I know, and there's people on here that you want more out of the business. You want to try to just figure it out yourself. You're afraid. Some of you are, it's not afraid, but at the end of the day, it's afraid of something, but it might just be skeptical, right? I'm not going to come there, pay for an airfare and a hotel night because I don't think these guys can teach me anything. Here's what I say to people. You may be correct. We may not be able to teach you anything, but what if you're wrong? That's all you got to say. What if we could teach you something that you have not heard before, or we present it differently to where it just takes your business up another level? Is it worth a Friday and a Saturday in Orlando, Florida? I think there's a mindset there that the successful mindset is, yeah, I'm going to check out everybody and everything. because I want to see what I might be missing, right? So if you want to make a change, if you want to just see, if you have not been to a MyElite event and you're surrounded with 300 or 400 other martial artists that are very successful, where you're networking with them. By the way, we're going to open this event. Oh, Mr. Costa says 8th and 9th. So maybe it's
7th if you're doing well, and then 8th and 9th. I stand corrected.
Okay, March 8th and 9th.
Thank you, Mr. Costa.
Anyway, there's a link there. You can click in and see all, learn all about it. But my point is we're going to open with a networking session where you're at a table with a bunch of others. You're at a table of eight or 10 top, 8 or 10 people at each table. And there's going to be scenarios, slips of paper where you're going to pull out a scenario. Someone's going to read it, pick someone that give their best answer. And then everyone around the table can add to that answer the way they may have success, depending on what that scenario is, right? It might be overcoming an objection, the best trial offer. What's been the number one thing to get you new students? You ask somebody and somebody can say, well, ours was this. And then you go around the table, the next person pulls something out. But that by itself is just so powerful because you're getting perspectives. And you could start talking with them, at the cocktail hour or the dinner or whatever it is. You'll start meeting other people in the industry. So we'd love to see some new faces there if you've never been to an elite event. And here's why Century is giving you a credit. The vice president of Century Martial Arts posted, why are we giving a credit when we get nothing out of this? They're giving a credit because they've seen what Maya does for school owners. They buy more uniforms, more equipment, more gear, and it helps Century. So Century's like, we'll give $300 credit to everyone who even goes to your event because they know they've tracked stats. They see what the MyElite clients do compared to before they were MyElite clients or the rest of the industry that purchases from Century. That's why they're doing it. Why else would they do it? Right. So anyway, I hope you guys got some good perspective out of this. It's not just about what's the best trial offer. It's also looking at your attrition rates, understanding where you're good in as far as getting people enrolled, understanding your stats, finding out where the holes are. There's just a lot to it. And also understanding, spend money to make money. You've all heard the saying, but this is a prime example. Don't worry about whether or not I have to give away a uniform or whatever. At the end of the day, become better at what you do. If I can get people in my building, I want to be confident that my product or service is so strong that the majority of those people are going to end up wanting to be part of it. So there you go.
Now that you went the sales pitch and everybody jumped off, I'm going to give this last thing that nobody's going to hear because they all jumped off. But, we talk about trial specials. I'll give you this other nugget that we talk about, right? Is disguising your trial, right? Some of you do 4 weeks for $49 all year long, and you've got to disguise it. Whether that's, by the way, 30 days for $30 is the same thing, right? You can do this, but you can have a back to school special. You can have a Valentine's buy one, get one special. You can do a St. Patrick's Day special. So you need to disguise the marketing with the season and with the holidays, and that will help your offer have a longer lifespan. And Chris Rodriguez, who's our digital marketing expert, it made a comment, right? She said most times you will, I forget exactly how she said it, but something along the lines of essentially we give up on our offer, or we get tired of that's what it was. We get tired of our offer before the public gets tired of our offer. So don't always be in a hurry to change. However, if it's not working for you, the number one thing you need to switch is your offer. And for those of you that do paid trials, I'll leave you with this. Somewhere in the content of your post, they need to understand that they can, before they make any decision on 4 weeks for $49 or this or that or whatever, come in for a free evaluation lesson, see for yourself the values and benefits of our program, see if it's going to be something your child's going to enjoy. And then after the lesson, if you decide you want to continue, we can go ahead and extend you the trial lesson. That way, they're not having to put any skin in the game before stepping foot into your door. Because I will tell you, out of the 45 people that did the 2-week trial with us, I don't have the exact stats. So this is a T-Swag, this is a Tassoul Scientific Wild Ass Guess, but I think it was somewhere in the neighborhood of about 5 people actually paid online. Everybody else came in for their free evaluation, and then they bought that day. So just something else to consider. Get them in, get the bodies in, and then convert them onto the paid trial. And make it low barrier of entry, make it simple, and let your floor sell it, and then they can just simply close in the office.
There it is. Thank you, Tass. Very, very good information today, Tass. It was.
As usual.
Very good. Next week, we'll be talking about egos in the martial arts industry.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So you're going to do the show by yourself?
That's exactly right. Anyway. Well, guys, thank you.
Needs any help, feel free to reach out, everybody.
Yep, would love to see you in March. And if nothing else, we'll see you in a couple weeks on the Mets Tass Show. Till next time, everyone, if you need anything, as he said, reach out. Have a great time. And Tass, stay safe out there.
All right, guys. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.